Good evening.
Evening all.
I was clicking in the wrong place then. Sorry. It didn't feel like a long time to you, but that felt like 5 minutes to me. Then that 3 seconds of, oh, no, which bit have I got to click on? Right, I need to get the background sorted. That's in. Comments coming in already. Marion's here. Of course, Marion's here.
Hi, Marion.
Marion's first to arrive. Good evening, folks. Welcome to the Wiccan Warrior Show. How are you, Penny?
Knackered.
Yes, I'm knackered.
Genuinely. Busy day.
It has been a really busy weekend, really.
Yeah.
Which we'll tell you all about very, very soon. So yeah, let's just have a quick double check of comments. Who's here? Marion's the first one. That's it. Is there anyone else?
It's just you. It'll be the Marion show.
Private show for Marion. Excellent. Right. On tonight's show, we're going to be talking about Druids, Beltane, Psychic Night that we hosted yesterday, rituals, tarot workshops, spooky rambles, Psychic Nights in Rushden that are coming up. And what's everybody's opinion on the whole debate between Johnny and Danielson? Do we think it's Cobra Kai or are you guys Miyagi-Do?
You're an idiot.
Ha! Boom! You thought I was going to get some stupid topical thing.
Yeah, I know. I was prepared to give an opinion, but I'm not now.
That's important to me. I don't give a shit about Amber Heard and Johnny Depp.
Amber Turd.
I couldn't give a crap. She's obviously a bitch.
I was going to say,
Yeah,
don't you
sorry.
dare. That was just unnecessary.
And yeah, as one man that's been abused can spot another one that's being abused or been abused. So no, I wasn't getting into any of that.
I think we can all spot that.
I was getting into the important stuff to do with, Miyagi-Do, Cobra
Nobody
Kai,
wants to
and
talk
Eagle
about
Fang.
that.
So that was my
Absolute
logic.
nonsense.
Chloe's arrived and trying to figure out why we're just talking complete crap. Because we're knackered.
We are knackered.
So yeah, so who's been celebrating Beltane? We have. We've been celebrating Beltane as the pagans that we are.
We have, yeah.
So I'm going to hand over to Penny now because, as you probably spotted, now the camera's rolling and my coffee's kicking in, I'm getting a bit manic. So I'm going to let you take over with the sensible stuff.
The grown-up stuff.
I'll try not to interject too much.
Okay, so we always explain the Sabbats that we celebrate. So today is Beltane. Comes from the Celtic god Bel, or Bright One, and Tane, which means bright fire. So it's one of the fire festivals of the year, and it is to celebrate the peak of spring and the start of summer. So it sits right in the middle of spring's getting ready to go out and summer's ready to come in. So it sits in the middle. So 1st of May, Beltane, or now May Day. Anyway, so Beltane celebrates the coming together, the union of the god and the goddess. Okay, so the maiden goddess who manifests growth and renewal comes into play, and her name is Flora, sometimes called the Fairy Queen.
Okay.
She is goddess of spring. She is the May bride. So she consummates her relationship with the young Oak King. So anybody who watched our Yule one will know that there's the Yule King and there's the Oak King. So now is the start, the proper full-on, he's virile young king. He's often referred to or represented as the Green Man.
The one with the leaves on the face.
The one with leaves on the face.
I'm normally wearing. I haven't got it on today.
He's sometimes called Jack in the Green. Either way, they are the May King and the May Queen. So they come together, and it's considered a union of earth and sky, them coming together. And when that happens, it's called the Greenwood marriage. And that is acted out all over the country on May Day. And it's acted out by Morris dancers, by local villagers, sometimes in Christian schools,
So little church groups.
little church groups, but it is based in paganism for sure, because it's the recognition of the god and the goddess coming together. Okay, so they're coming together at this time. Beltane represents sexuality, sensuality, passion, vitality, and joy. Okay, it's the conception of new.
So today's the day to
and
make
growth.
a baby.
Today's definitely the day to make a baby.
Too knackered, babe.
That's all right. It would be a miracle.
I'm
if
too
it
knackered
happened.
today. I'll be even more knackered if I've got a toddler running around.
Right. Anyway, so you're jumping ahead. In
Like
theory, today is the day that you look at any new hopes and dreams and ideas and aspirations and concepts and things. Now is a good time to start them, because it is the proper starting growth point of the year. Okay, definitely the most fertile time of the year. So, as I said, it is a fire ceremony. Part of that fire ceremony is, so you have this big fire, everybody comes together, everybody drinks mead, which we did today. And
that might be why I fell asleep in the car.
I think it's quite likely. That was quite strong, that honey mead.
Nah, I can't even know. It's just knackered.
We got excited when they said we're going to give you a shot. It was like shots. Anyway, so what you were expected to do was jump through the fire, and that would purify you, cleanse you. If you wanted to have babies, it was to bring fertility. If a young couple were just coming together, it was a way of pledging themselves to each other. So they would hold hands and jump through the fire together.
Oh, I've seen that today.
Right. And cattle and animals were driven through the smoke of the fire, because it was supposed to protect them from disease and ailments and encourage fertility in the cattle. And I've just had a really random thought. What animal did I say I saw?
Yep, cow.
Bizarre. There wasn't a cow at all, but I saw one. Anyway, so at the end of the night, all of the villagers would take a piece of the fire away. So they would grab a stick or light a stick from that fire. And that's called Tainigan. And they would take that back to their homes to light their new fires for the year.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Okay. So today, and we were discussing around this, is a popular day for hand fastings, which is basically a pagan wedding. And I know that I've talked about this on the show last year. In that when you were traditionally hand fasted, today especially, you would hold hands. If you give me your hand, and the ropes would be tied, the ribbons would be tied in a figure of 8, and your hands would be tied together, arm wrestle, and that would be pledging yourself to the other for 1 year and 1 day. And then there's a get out. If it doesn't work,
Pagans built in
you
a clause
can just say you don't want to. So you would be tied together for the ceremony.
for a year and a day.
No.
That's a shame.
You would be tied together for the ceremony.
Can't come into work today, boy. I'm tied to my missus.
and then that would be uncomfortable when it's going to the loo time. Nobody wants that.
Depends which hand we've been tied together with.
Oh, stop it. Anyway, and then after the ceremony, you're untied. And the symbolism is that you are bound together in commitment. When you are untied, you are staying together through choice.
I see.
So it's about the symbolism of it. But you've got to get out after 1 year and 1 day that you can say, no, I've changed my mind. I fancy somebody else.
So I'm just going to slightly divert for a second. So in a pagan wedding,
Yeah.
the two people are committing to each other that element of commitment.
Mm-hmm.
They're not pledging together their commitment to somebody else as a witness to our blessing of our union.
No.
So there's no third party involved.
No, there's no
Excellent. Just
third
wanted to
party.
clarify that.
It's just the coming together of those two.
Cool.
Part of that,
Crowbar themselves into everything, didn't they?
anyway, part of that, and this is sometimes done as a tradition of marriage now, is jumping the broomstick. And there is I think it's a Lulu song about jumping the broomstick, or there's a somebody song, Jump the Broomstick. And basically,
it's like listening to a cat.
It was like a cheap choice or an alternative choice to a church wedding. So instead of getting married in a church, you would hold hands and jump over a broomstick. Ta-da, you're man and wife.
I can see why the church had a bit of an issue with that.
What? Because they didn't get a say in it. They couldn't charge for the church.
Oh no, the church doesn't charge. You make a donation to the church.
Although you can't get married if you don't make a donation.
Yeah. But technically it's a donation.
Of course, you're paying for the organist.
Because I said to him at the time, I went, well, how much is the donation? Well, is it just what I see, as in what my earnings are, what I consider to be an amount for a donation? Oh, no, it's a fixed amount.
Yeah.
So it's not a fucking donation then, is it?
No, that's true. Anyway, so jumping the broomstick was if you didn't want to get married in church or you couldn't afford to get married in church, you jumped the broomstick instead. But like I say, it's part of a tradition now, same as being kissed by a chimney sweep and things like that. It's lumped in with that, but I'm not going into that now because we're not talking about that now. But the broom was considered the threshold of your old life into your new together. So it's about symbolism more than anything. Okay, so they would share during these celebrations mead and cake, which we had today.
We did.
And seconds, because they'd over prepared. Clearly.
Good, yeah, went round and then round again.
And went, please take more. There's lots. Please take some more.
It's my favourite kind of buffet.
I know. Anyway, along with that, there is something called going a maying.
Going a maying?
Going a maying. So old and young couples would go into the woods and the fields and enjoy each other's company.
I gotta love the pagans.
And they would bring back...
It's an idea for the next spooky ramble.
That's a level of sharing I'm not comfortable with. But they would bring back hawthorn blossoms to decorate their homes, their barns and everywhere. And Beltane is the only time that pagans bring hawthorn into their home. If they bring it in any other time of the year, it's considered bad luck. But it is good luck.
Is it hawthorn that has berries?
It does. It has blossoms though. Oh. So in theory, we're at the time of the year when the blossoms are starting. Okay. So they would bring in hawthorn blossoms, or they would bring in a hawthorn branch and decorate it much as you would a Christmas tree. And you can put that outside your home so that people coming understand that you're celebrating Beltane, or you could have it inside your home and decorate it. But it's the only time you bring hawthorn in. And obviously, after this celebration, there was a baby boom 9 months after Beltane. Every year. Shocker. Okay. So, young women were encouraged to go out. I'm obviously not young, so I didn't do it. First thing in the morning, to wash their face in the morning dew on Beltane.
Yeah, they do that in the garden. Ned's been here.
Yeah. and to make crowns, flower crowns, or as I did today, a hawthorn crown, or to make baskets, which they would give as gifts to other people.
Cool.
Sounding a bit Christmassy, don't you think? We're going to decorate the house, we're going to decorate a tree, and we're going to give gifts.
Yes.
And everybody's going to get drunk and eat lots.
Well, if you remember a couple of weeks ago when I spoke about the calendar, the alternate calendar that would make more sense, now should be the first of the year because it's the start of summer.
Well, along with that, it's the flip side to Samhain or Halloween for you muggles. In that today, as in then, the veil is thinnest between the two worlds. So if you are going to communicate, this is the time to do it. So at this time of the year, the communication tended to be about giving thanks to your ancestors for the fact that you're here now.
I do that regularly.
But today is considered when you would make that contact. So I thought, what else did I do today?
I don't know, you're testing me now. I'm said I'm tired.
Okay. When they encouraged us all to participate and you didn't.
Oh, yeah, the maypole.
It's the maypole. So the maypole, we all remember at school being taught the maypole dance, the face each other under, over, and there were various dances, and then you get to the end and then you reverse everything to untie again. So it braids around the pole and then you unbraid it, and there's various moves and dances and things. That is pagan. The maypole itself is a pagan item because it is a pole, it is phallic.
Of course it is. And who danced around it, babe?
And it's weight. Yes.
Come on, tell me.
No. So, traditionally, the maypole was birch. It was made of birch. But it is inserted into the earth. Very symbolic. Okay. And that represents the potency of...
Oh, here we go. Sorry to just break that.
The god.
Marion used to teach this to the kids about the maypole dance. She had no idea it was a giant wooden penis sticking into the earth.
And you was encouraging them to dance around it.
God, that
and tie things. Anyway, so the ribbons and the coming together of the ribbons is to represent the union of the god and the goddess. So the coming together
in their form of like hand fastening sort of logic.
Yes.
Ah, so the ribbon.
Okay.
I'm trying to link symbolism.
Yes. The colours traditionally, now I noticed today they were purple and blue, you know, colours that weren't prevalent traditionally.
LGBT colours.
There was a lot of colour in there today. The traditional colours are green, red and white. So the green is about growth, abundance, fertility. The red is about strength, vitality, passion. And the white is about cleansing, clearing and dispersing negativity. So traditionally there was 3 colours, not the 20 or so we saw today. So that's my little take on Beltane. That's it. That's what I got.
I think that's really interesting. Obviously, I knew most of that.
And we did do it last year on a share.
We try and sort of tell you guys, you know, whatever season we're in and how that affects us as pagans. I mean, today we spent time with druids. And that was, it was an experience.
Are we moving into the today bit now?
Kind of. All I'm sort of saying is that there is the elements of this which are pagan stuff. Mm-hmm. And then as time goes on, some of the Christian, they've either adopted exactly what we've had, renamed it, or they've encased it so that they've got an element of control of it. I don't want to do this as a Christian bashing thing at all. No. I want to do it as if we class that as an evolution of belief, our ancestors are still quite chuffed in the fact that
it's still continuing.
It's still happening now. because they can happen under whatever.
So when I go back to work next week,
symbolism is still the same.
When I go back to work next week, at the religious school, the children will be doing May dances, maypole dancing, singing traditional songs, but it's not actually part of that religion traditionally.
No, so I think that's quite interesting. You can class it as,
unless I'm completely wrong, and Jesus and his gang did maypole dancing. I don't know.
Well, no, that's the thing. Unless we've got somebody out there that can tell us something particular that is 100% Christian, which I find difficult because that would be then coming from the Middle East as a location for that belief structure, whereas paganism is full on Europe.
Yeah.
There's never been anything different. It's always just...
There is paganism in a lot of...
No, I know it's spread, but that's where it came... It's where it starts.
Yeah.
But... And when you consider where we've been today, it can be carbon dated right back to pretty much 2,000 years off the beginning.
Right. So before we move on to what happened today, how it occurred and all of that...
We need to catch up on the comments.
We do. I just wanted to clarify the difference between Druids and pagans.
Okay.
So I've looked into it a bit, and it is kind of what I thought anyway. And that is that Druids tend to have an order, a form to who does what, and they have priests and levels of priest. Pagans do not. So some references say that Druids sit under a pagan umbrella, much as Wiccan sits under a pagan umbrella. But actually, it's not, because pagans don't adhere to conformist religion. And they basically, even though they have lots of belief in different gods and things like that, and we do follow times of the year because they reflected the way of life traditionally, there's no formal hierarchy.
No, I mean, today there was a number of people there that performed different ceremonies.
There was the keeper of the gates, and it was an order of Druids, and there was a hierarchy to it. Yeah. Whereas we would have just turned up and gone, everybody do your thing.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
You got some hawthorn branches. Excellent. I've got my clothes off. Let's run around naked.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
No.
But both of them are nature loving. Yeah. And it is about worshipping the elements.
I have no issue at all spending time with Druids because we're all singing off the same hymn sheet.
Except we're not, because there's no hymns.
Exactly. Did you get that?
Anyway, so I thought that
was really interesting.
Interesting. Sorry.
Marion's put... that was really interesting. Let me just read this before I post it on there in case. No, Marion saying she didn't know the history about them when she was teaching the kids.
No, people don't. People don't.
Hello. Jess has finally arrived.
Hi, Jess.
Noah.
Jess,
evening.
Watch back to the beginning. Go back and watch it because you've missed the other things because you came in quite late.
And Marion said that's really interesting.
It is.
Know the history.
It is. And we all assume, because when it comes to May Day, schools go nuts for it. Even the really religious schools go nuts for it. And it's all about maypole dancing, get your mums and dads here. But they really shouldn't. It's very bizarre.
It is.
Very bizarre.
Just having a look through the viewers as well. I'm going to be all begging now and needy. Everybody that's watching on Facebook, hit the love heart thing. How do you do it?
Give us a reaction. It's so rubbish.
I can't do it. My hand doesn't do it. There we go. Kind of worked.
Right, like that.
Show us some love.
Like that dentist clip.
So we've only got 2 love hearts on there at the moment.
Only 2 people love us.
Thank you for the love. Everybody else, come on.
Yeah, put an effort in.
Okay, so what else are we going to talk about? We briefly spoke about Druids. Let's talk about what we did yesterday. Let's get off of that and we'll come back to it.
Oh, you're going to confuse me and I'm quite tired. All right, go on then.
So yesterday we hosted our first psychic night here.
At home, as opposed to
when we've done
a location.
Yeah. So we've been at Ryan's coffee shop.
And we've been to numerous people's houses.
Yeah, and we've done them in the houses, but this one we actually hosted here.
Mm-hmm.
Gave us the opportunity to provide a private reading for people in our sort of training room. It's there, our dining room, basically.
It was, yeah.
And also gave me an opportunity to sit in our lounge with our energy and work with the people that were there. So it was really good. I found it quite a powerful night.
Yeah.
Admittedly, it was all girls. It was a bit giggly and loud at times. But
yeah.
Mainly Danny's fault, I think. Danny's fault.
Anyway.
So it was a good night. Should we do another one here?
I think we should, but we have to stipulate whoever the organizer is, they have to make the teas and coffees because we're going to be busy working.
That's the thing, yeah. While we're doing the readings, we ask for a host with the most or a hostess with the mostess
to volunteer. Because if it was at your house, you'd be making teas and coffees anyway.
Yeah. To be fair, we did provide the tea, the coffee, and the biscuits.
There was a lot of biscuits. I did go a bit biscuit crazy.
Was a bit.
But
so that was good. Also, on the topic of psychic nights, I have secured a location in Rushden for psychic night, and possibly for the workshops as well. So we're kind of working out the dates for that, and I'm hoping to get dates out next week. I'm going to quickly jump on to people who have been on the channel will have seen the tarot workshop that's coming up. A bit more detail on this. The tarot workshop that I'm aiming to plan will give you the whole start to finish of tarot. And what I mean by that is we delve all the way back to the beginning of the history of it, where the cards started, the original origins from around the world of how it's ended up.
But don't give too much spoilers.
Yeah, of how it's ended up being the tarot card we read today.
Yeah.
And on top of that, if you bring your own tarot deck, or even if you haven't got one, I can lend you one. We'll work on meditating so you can learn to understand the difference between a thought and a push.
Spoilers.
And again, it's kind of working on that. So the whole kind of ideally about 4-hour course and workshop that we're doing covers the tarot side of things, will cover the mediumship side of things, will help you become in tune with the cards you're working with, or the divination you want. You can use you don't have to use tarot on it. Although it would be a bit tarot heavy for somebody with a rune.
No, it really needs to be tarot.
Yeah,
we can look at different divination courses.
Yeah.
But it's the theory of tarot.
Yeah. So in that 4 hours, the idea is that you'd have full round. You know exactly what's going on. You know exactly what you're reading, the kind of spreads that you want to do, and how to start your journey or make your journey more about the tarots for yourself. Because that's what it has to be first. I will work with my tarots in the morning. If I've got something going through my head, I will turn a card. And then I'll go by what that says. Not life by tarot, but it is an influence in my life as a tarot reader. Because I don't think it'd be fair to give the information to somebody else with the intent of them acting on it if I don't do the same thing. So that's the idea. So we're hoping to do some, or I'm going to do some. Some will be here, and some will be at the new location in Rushden. Details will be getting sent out next week. There'll be a booking form to do it. I'm going to try and see if I can get up Eventbrite set up for it, but if that doesn't work, it will just be an advert and an email communication, and I'll send people the information of what dates are available. As much as I like to be part of the technology and the social side of things, it gets very confusing if you try and do it through Facebook, then all it wants to do is sell you adverts, promote this, boost that, and it becomes really messy and gets on my nerves. So if you'd like information on joining, I've already got 5, and I'm kind of capping each workshop to about 7 or 8 max.
Okay.
Ideally. So I'll get booking forms sent out next week. Ideally, hopefully before the end of the week. So we should be on it. And let me know if you want to get on it and join, then excellent. Come and join in.
Okay, you jumped from one subject to the other, and
I did.
And I'll let you. So back to last night.
What?
So back to last night.
So last night, the psychic night.
That was so I took people off into the room to do one-to-one readings, and in the meantime, you psychically entertained them in the other room.
I did.
We had, without revealing information, because it is personal,
Absolutely.
and it's kind of the importance of having a reading separate to everybody else.
Incidentally, we don't even talk about the readings we've done.
No.
We might sort of say something along the lines of, oh, it was quite positive or quite negative. That was a tough one. But we never go into detail. I have no idea really what Penny read for people and vice versa.
No, absolutely not. But we do talk about when strange things happen with the cards. And again, last night, something strange happened.
What was that, Penny? Tell us.
In that the person that I was reading for was super guarded. It was her first reading that she'd had. So clearly she'd been prepared somehow. When lovely people say to newbies who haven't had any kind of divination before, don't tell them anything. Well, the problem is that sometimes you put so much effort into not telling that you actually close yourself down. And what happened was the cards made no sense whatsoever. She was confused. I was confused. I had to take them all back into the deck. And this is new for me. It happened at the Psychic Night in Northampton, but I did. I reshuffled. I gave them to her again and said, please put your energy in. And then it started to open up a little bit. And then I mentioned something that was personal to her. And all of a sudden, the cards made no sense. It was like they stopped giving me information. And I said to her, okay, I know what the issue is. And I explained. And once she understood, and I said, we won't touch that subject. We'll look at different areas. Everything flowed beautifully, and I was able to tell her lots and lots of information. And then another card came up, which went back to the original personal thing, and that was it. They shut down again, as did she. And it was quite an emotional reading. But it's very difficult. And seriously, you can't hide stuff from the cards. You can't. They'll tell the reader what's going on. And I think that's the importance of doing a tarot workshop. The more preparation that you can do, the less you're going to be tripped up, particularly if you are going to do it as part of a business. You can't charge people if you go, I've no idea what to do now.
No.
And then you stop the reading. You need to give that person their money back. Or find a way around it, which is up to you. But the importance of preparation is huge.
It is, and understanding your deck. People will say, oh, this card fell out. Sometimes cards will just drop out because you dropped them. When you're working with a tarot deck, you can feel it. Again, it's the difference between a thought and a push. It's the difference between me being involved, the cards being involved, and feeling that is the whole kind of purpose of the workshop.
For one person, a whole clutch of them fell out, and I said, okay, put the other cards down. I'm just reading from those.
Well, yeah,
and her reading came from that.
Came with the cards. You were
yeah.
Right. Okay, we're there. I've got it.
And they absolutely were spot on.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And there was only a few because I'm a bit card happy.
But there's loads of lovely tricks that my tarot cards will do. The whole kind of, oh no, I can't tell a customer that or a person that because it's come up with something particularly
what we've
negative.
worked out is if Alistair's doing some kind of reading in one room and I'm in another, that we tend to have the same information for people and similar cards. So like when you've done a reading for somebody, they'll then come into me and I'll start and I'll say whatever the information is. And they'll say, Alistair said that.
Yeah,
that's because it's your information.
Part of the logic with that is I always feel when we do our psychic nights, I always feel like you're doing the main in-depth reading. You've got private one-to-one time with that person. So you can go into a little bit more in-depth.
Yeah.
What I'm doing is loosening up the next people. The only person I don't loosen up is the person you get first.
Yeah.
So if you always get the person who's keenest first, they tend to be open anyway.
Yeah.
the rest of the people, it's then to me to relax, get their energy to relax, get it to
You're
flow.
a tarot fluffer.
A tarot fluffer to an extent. And because the cards will come out with just the same kind of readings, but I don't go into as much detail.
Yeah.
People are then more prepared for, oh, right, yeah, that came up earlier. And then you'll be able to go into more detail because the cards are
and you're much nicer than I am.
Well,
You'll consider what people are going to think when you say something or whether you're going to upset them.
I do. The other thing I thought earlier is when your cards start doing things like that and you start to get the same as I did with the person who closed down on me during that fluffing bit. An untrained tarot reader kind of would look at, I mean, you start to doubt yourself at that point. It's like, oh, I don't know if I can actually read tarot. It's like, holy crap, somebody's turned all my cards inside out and upside down that don't make sense.
Yeah.
Whereas once you know your cards, you just kind of scoop and you go, it's not me, that's the person.
Yeah.
They've shut everything down. My cards are quite literally gone like that.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing there for the cards to tell me. Because the person doesn't necessarily want it.
So yeah, that was interesting.
So yeah, so cards. I love my tarot cards. I've had my tarots for 20 years. Am I 44 now?
Ish.
Or 43? Fuck no, I might be 53 by now. I have actually lost track of time.
I think we gained age today. So shall we talk about today?
Yeah, let's talk about today. So we accidentally ended up.
I don't know. Something was driving us today, and it was driving us at the right time, the right place to put us where we needed to be today.
Yeah, it was just after lunchtime. You went, do you fancy going out?
Yeah, I was a bit dithery as well this morning. I was taking my time. You was down here having breakfast, and I said, do you want to go on a trip? A little trip. And suggested somewhere, and we still did it, and I had something to eat, and we didn't set off till almost 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
Where did we go, Alistair?
We went to Roll Right Stones. It's the I get lost on that word.
It's in the Cotswolds.
The Roll Right Stones, which is our nearest stone circle.
Yeah, it is. And it wasn't anything other than, let's just go and do something nice for us that engages with what today is, being Beltane. A nice little connect to everything and a bit of something that was for us, because we worked hard yesterday. And I took my dowsing rods.
Yep.
And we had a walkabout and a douse, and then we saw a couple of people come in with cloaks, wearing cloaks, a couple of older ladies.
One of them would be offended at that.
Well, they're older than young ladies. They were older than me, to be fair, so they're old. Anyway, so they came, and then I overheard somebody say, oh, do you want us to take a picture of you? Because they were clearly trying to do a selfie and not very good at it. And she said, oh, yeah, we're doing a ceremony here at 3 o'clock. And we'd got there at what, 2:30?
Yeah.
Just before 2:30. And it was, well, maybe we'll just loiter about and see what it's about.
Well, my first thought was, you said they were druids.
Yeah.
They're going to do a ceremony. So there's going to be some sort of post put up, tie a virgin to it.
Which wouldn't have been me, clearly. There was a wicker man there that had been made in the site.
Let's talk about the stones. Right. The stone side of things, before we get to the fact that we did the ritual side of it.
Okay.
The stones that are there date back to the Neolithic, which is, I think it's 1500 BC, and the Preolithic. Basically, the stones go all the way back to when the dinosaurs were about.
Really old.
Really old stones. But they do form part of the landscape of the Cotswolds. They're a natural stone to that area.
Yeah.
They've been put there. They were put in 2 different locations. There's the 3 sleeping knights.
No, 4.
4 knights.
Whispering knights.
Whispering knights. They were whispering, now they're sleeping. Who were turned like that because of a witch.
Yeah, allegedly there was 4 knights that were hatching a plan against the king. So the witch was tasked with stopping them, so she turned them into stone. So there are 3 upright stones, and in front of them is 1 laying down stone. So while they were whispering, she turned them into stone, and they do lean towards each other.
Mm.
So
and then on the circle,
but that is supposed to be the portal to a burial mound.
Yeah.
As well.
Well, that's what they found underneath. They found the ash remains, charcoal remains, and teeth remains from children, but not. Now they classed it as a cremation,
As opposed to
a burial or a mummification or anything like that. And the reason I think they used the word cremation is because they couldn't determine whether or not any of the bones were burnt as sacrifice or as funeral. It's just cremation. They were cremated.
Okay.
Because we know that early man did sacrifice animals, they did sacrifice people.
Yeah.
But in those instances, you can't actually prove. And from a scientific point of view, carbon dating it's got a massive scope for error. But the actual stone circle, the dates of when they believe that they were set up and the archaeology that's been done around them, that's been there for a very, very, very long time, up until the Doomsday Book,
1066,
which was 1066, where it was registered there was 36 villages, 15 farms and something like
that were
that.
all
2
involved
slaves
in it.
that were there in that bit, and that where that's done is private land. So that was owned by the king, and then there was all kinds of history where it divides.
There was a monk in charge of it.
Yeah, there was a few different bits. Again, it handed over to a Christian side of things, but it had all been, you can class as pagan or heathen or early man.
So there's 70 plus stones in a circle, and they're not little stones, they're quite big stones. And it is said that if you try to count them 3 times, you will not get the same number. So
I heard people.
There were people going around counting them.
Yeah, one of them come back. She went, "I've just counted 38," and he went, "Well, I've just counted 42."
Well,
how does that work?
Because there's 70 plus.
Yeah, exactly.
So how does that work?
And that
it's a
confused me,
huge circle.
But you just ran past about 6 stones. Everyone runs out. The thing I think catches people out on it, as you walk around it, the stones are at different angles and they're different sizes. So you see one set of stones from one way and another set of stones from the other.
Yeah, you do.
And there is a temperature difference from outside the circle to
God,
inside
there
the circle.
really seriously is. You literally step outside the circle and it's freezing.
And that was before the Druids started, because they lit some fires in there and started getting set up for their
cleansing,
their cleansing ceremony. Even before that, you could feel the difference of the temperature change, the energy.
But when you touch the stones aren't cold. Even though it was bitterly cold today, it wasn't in the circle. It wasn't when you touched the stones.
Some of that can be scientific. Marble, for instance, I believe is a colder stone than other things. So stones can.
No, I get that. I'm just. It's just something that I noticed.
But I did notice with those stones, like you go Stonehenge, they're solid stones. These look like they've got holes from pits or bullet holes or something.
Oh, it's not.
It's like Swiss cheese.
It's the nature of what the stone is.
Exactly.
It's the type
so
of
very
stone.
Different. It doesn't look as.
It's weathered.
No, it's not just weather. It's pitted. The way it's pitted is, it's like it was eroded before it stood up.
Oh, right.
So that was the shape. Whereas Stonehenge, you could tell that there was certain stone masonry gone on to change the shape of the stones. Whereas none of the ones today look like anybody had changed them, which I kind of liked. I preferred that. They just went, "Oh, that's a nice big one. We'll stand that there."
Yeah.
And then just carried on round.
They're obviously not as big as Stonehenge.
I don't know. Actually, I forgot to look that up. I wanted to know what the difference in dates were between there and Stonehenge, but I forgot to look.
Anyway.
But I am going to compile a video because I took some photos.
Got photos, videos.
So I'll put that up once I get it sorted.
So when we got there, I dowsed around the outside and the rods were quite active, pointing me towards them and then pointing me, bizarrely pointing that way to where the Whispering Night stones are, which is a little bit away. It's a bit of a walk away. And then I went into the midpoint of the circle and the rods just went crazy. I got smacked in the face by them so many times today. In the end, I just kept my hood up to protect me because they were swinging past each other and then back round. But every time they did, they went all the way around and just smacked me in the head, which indicated to me that the energy was full circle. It was a circle, which was really nice. It felt really addictive. I just wanted to keep dowsing, even though I wasn't getting anything different, even though it wasn't about communication. It was just conducting energy. It was insane. I loved it. I think that's probably why I'm knackered. I'm drained because it was like a rush of power and then it's the come down from that. That's probably why I'm so knackered. So that was interesting.
So we were there. We'd done all this. We were just milling about. And then a guy came over and said to us, "Are you joining in with the ceremony?" Handed us a piece of paper.
And we went, "We'd love to."
Oh, absolutely. I'm in for this. Who's sacrificing? It's not that kind of ceremony.
The man with full robe and cloak.
Yeah, I think I need to get myself a cloak.
Anyway.
Somebody send me a cloak.
There was face masks. There was an excellent stag mask that was leather.
Yeah.
It was a leather.
You say excellent.
I liked it.
I didn't. It looked like a fawn.
They all had.
The antlers weren't big enough.
No, he was quite an old man. And to be honest, if he'd have had a full stag headdress, he wouldn't have been able to walk because he dropped something on the floor and I thought he was going to keel over picking it up. They all had staffs as well, which was interesting. And there was the head of the order who said, "We will go in procession to the gate."
Yeah, 2 portal people standing with their staffs.
The east gate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was crossed staffs and you go through. And as I went through, it was like a wave of energy.
I felt
it was bizarre.
I want everybody to just imagine 1,000 people walking closely in a circle. The people in the middle are working tighter, and then everybody around the outside just gets wider. Yeah. That's how it felt to me, but not solid like 1,000 people.
But you were stepping into a flow.
Yeah, but there was a flow of 1,000 people that have been. It was just awesome. I loved it.
Yeah. So then we went in a circle and we kept walking around in the circle, which builds energy.
It's funny because I walked one way, but then when the ceremony started, they walked the other way. I thought, I wonder why I went.
There was no walking the other way.
Yes, there was. When I went into the circle.
Oh, right. From the inside, you're right.
I went round anti-clockwise, but then when the ceremony started, we came in from the east and went left. We went clockwise.
You're right.
When I first went in, I was going anti-clockwise.
You are drawn to go anti-clockwise on the outside.
But I didn't feel the intensity of the energy flow until I went clockwise.
That's interesting. No, I hadn't noticed that, but you're absolutely right because you feel compelled to go that way before you go in the circle, and then that way when you go in. That's interesting. So then there were fire pits that we were quite excited about because they had green, purple, blue flames. We were quite excited, and there was children there, as there should be. There was quite a lot of children. And one little boy kept going, "Look at the flames," really loud. And it was like, "Shut up, we can't hear."
No, I wasn't. I was thinking, thank God somebody else could see that.
Yeah. We know how they did it now.
Yeah, we did. So. We've seen them throw a little sachet of something in.
Yeah, that changed the colour of the flames. But that was amazing. So we were all encouraged to come forward towards the fires, which we did. Maybe we don't want to give too much away. So there was...
what, of the actual ceremony?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't want to go blow away because I didn't record any of that.
So then Okay, so basically, then it was the selection of the May King and Queen, bearing in mind the story that I've told already this evening. If you missed it, go back to the beginning and watch it.
Where were you?
So they basically asked for an eligible bachelor. And of course, there was very few because it was mainly couples and families there.
It was three.
So
three actual bachelors put their hands up.
3 actual bachelors put their hands up, and the head of the order walked around. Well, you said, could you be a bachelor? Which was a bit rude. So the head of the order walked around to select an eligible bachelor to be the Oak King, and surprisingly chose one of the people who was already in the order. So we were like, okay, one, he's not young, he had long grey hair. And two, he's part of your gang. So why did you get everybody to put their hand up? Anyway, so she chose him. And then they said, now he needs to choose a goddess or a May Queen as his bride. So is there any eligible spinsters here?
Any single females?
All the single ladies.
I resisted.
Literally, one woman put her hand up, but didn't look very comfortable at all, but was willing to give it a go. And then one of the original ladies that we'd seen, her mum, who wasn't the most mobile in her cloak and sandals, she was eligible. She wasn't a spinster, but she was eligible. She put her hand up. And he chatted to both of them, and then he said, well, I feel like I could choose one of you, but instead I'll choose my wife. It was like, well, you're not a bachelor and she's not a spinster then. So, and she's part of the order as well. So this whole thing was a fix.
And too old to make kids.
And way too old to make kids. Anyway, and definitely not anything that we want to see.
So that was quite confusing.
Yeah, that bit was quite confusing. And then we followed them to the maypole, which had a lot of ribbon on it. More ribbon than there was people. There was a lot of us, but there was a few people that had to hold 2 ribbons. And there was the wrong number of people. There wasn't an even number of people. And this very small children and very tall men, it got a bit muddly when we was trying to do the ribbon tie as we go around. The reason
for that, which I spotted, is the ribbons were half the length they needed to be.
Yes.
Everybody was far too close to the pole.
Yes.
Needed longer ribbons.
Yes, but
even if there's a bit of a sag in them as they come down.
I agree. But even then, there were the kids that were standing there that weren't doing the under over. They were just standing there. So there was times when you'd pass somebody and you'd go, but I've just gone under. And they'd go, yeah, but so did I. So how does that work? Anyway, somehow it magically tied. It wasn't very pretty, but it tied about halfway down. And then the May King said stop. And one know-all who taught it at school said, oh, we're not going to reverse it now. It's like, we've barely got this far. You need to shut up. So
there is no way you could reverse the code of rapping that you've just done.
Yeah, no, that wouldn't have worked at all. She clearly had a bit of OCD. It was like, she's going to be there the rest of the evening untangling it. So we followed them back into the circle, where we was to celebrate their union and do that as a communion, which is the sharing of mead and cake.
Body of Christ, blood of Christ.
No. Druid communion.
Bread and mead.
No, cake and mead.
Wow, cake and mead. Bread. Mead.
Cake and mead. Traditionally, it would have been a shared jug or big cup or something. But obviously, even pre-COVID, we probably wouldn't have wanted to. So we were all given little plastic shot glasses, and then they came round with the cake and some fruit, which was lovely.
It was very nice.
And then
shot of mead.
And then I can't remember anything because I don't drink.
And then it was like lights started flashing,
Yeah.
music come on.
Yeah, no, I did say, are we all prepared that the police could be at the end of the road when we've all finished our mead to see how many of us get in our cars? Literally, it was like that much mead.
2CL.
Yours was. Mine wasn't. She clearly saw that I was a lightweight and it was like splash. Honestly, I've spat more than he put in my cup.
But it was a good opportunity. I enjoyed it.
It was amazing. And then we did a very weird pagan prayer, which was a little bit wordy and had words in it that I don't necessarily think were around at the time. But it was nice. It was coming together, and we all did a "Who are you and why are you here?" icebreaker, which was a bit odd. But there were some really emotional people there. There was at least 3 women that were teary during that.
Yeah, one lady was there because this is where they used to camp when she used to come and visit her son. But her son died 4 years ago.
That's the bit I didn't hear.
So she always comes, but
okay.
she's never made it. They've never made it to that actual ceremony thing.
Was that the anniversary
Then there
couple?
There was the 15-year wedding anniversary couple who jumped through the fire. But there was something else in the background.
There was more, but I couldn't hear.
So something's happened within their dynamic.
Yeah.
Either almost broke them or an individual of them.
Yeah.
But so today was massive for them. They jumped through the fire and stuff.
Which was lovely. It was nice to see that there was a real significance of a really old tradition.
Yeah.
That was really lovely. Well, what I didn't say was throughout the entire thing, because I know that I'm strange and I don't care, we went to the Whispering Nights and then I found hawthorn.
Yeah.
And made myself a hawthorn crown, which I then put on, and we went back, and the whole ritual, it was like nobody's mentioning the fact that I've got this part of a tree wrapped around my head, but it really felt comfortable, and I really wanted to make one, and I did. Good. So I don't care, and there will be a picture of it on our Facebook because you did take a photo.
I did. I took photos and videos.
It's not easy to do because they're really thorny.
The only photos I've got of the ceremony are the maypole bit.
That's right.
Because there was no filming with inside the circle once the ceremony. There was people outside milling about.
Yeah, you could film outside the circle, but to do that, you can't be part of it.
And I'm not bothered about filming the inner workings of the ceremony. That's for me to take from that. But I filmed all the other stuff, and I'll put it together. And Chris has sent us a photo of roll right stones. Last photo I have from Jane.
Oh, no way. We'll talk later.
Okay.
We'll talk later. That's amazing.
Cool.
That's amazing. Amazing place. Absolutely amazing place.
It is.
For a last minute, do you fancy going somewhere? And we timed it perfectly that we could be part of the ceremony as well. And obviously they're doing other ceremonies. It was quite exciting today. I liked that. So
yeah, it was good. It's a magical moment when because we're like the icebreaker talkie stick come round.
Yeah.
Which I'm fairly certain that thing's a clobbering stick of death. I don't know why she's got it as a.
Do you think?
Yeah.
I think it's like a Irish shillelagh.
I don't know. It's the whole nail patterns on both sides.
It is a bit weird. I would research that by now.
It seemed. And when I took hold of it, I thought this is a weapon, not a walking stick. But to me, I felt like everybody that was there was meant to be there and had already been there before.
Yeah.
Some point in everybody's DNA or genetics or ancestry, even the people that were there clearly from other countries. I think there was a Spanish guy there, weren't there? And 4 people from London with funny accents.
That weren't from London at all. They were clearly Eastern European.
But exactly. But as far as I'm concerned, their ancestors would have been here at some point. That's their pull. Because if you've never had a link to somewhere, the pull is difficult.
Yeah.
Whereas if there's a link somewhere, an ancestry link, it will pull you easier.
What I found
My thoughts.
most interesting about the whole thing, and I thought it when they were doing the talking stick, is that collection of people, however many of us there were. How many do you think there was?
I'll count them. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4,
Stop it.
5, 6,
There was
7,
about
8,
60 or
9,
70,
10,
surely.
11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 20, 21,
There was more than
22,
that.
23, 24, 25, 26. Then you got the tall woman, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, and 4 of their druid. So whatever that was.
Well, there was
35, 36, 38. So about 40 people.
there was quite a lot of us to know that when it started, we were all kind of milling around the edge of the circle. Nobody's really talking or engaging with anybody else. And then as part of that ceremony and doing the maypole, all of a sudden, it felt like we were all friends and like we all knew each other. We didn't need to do the talkie stick thing because it already felt like we were buddies. It was really quite
And
bizarre.
the chances are we will never see those people again. It's just one of them moments of 40 people and the law of probability end up in the same place at the same time to do the same thing. And then they all disperse off and go and take that energy away with them. I think that's fucking amazing.
It felt really good.
Mm.
It just felt really comfortable. But
there's nobody there with an ulterior motive. There was nobody there passing around a plate, collecting for something. There was nobody there telling me I need to give praise to somebody else. This was a whole ceremony about my blessings and to be grateful for what I've got and what I want to plan. And while I'm there, I'm sort of I'm going to waffle for a minute, but while I'm there, I'm walking around and I'm hearing different suggestions. The workshop's a good plan, but get more confident, go for it. All these little bits as I'm wandering around that are just popping as pushed things.
and it's Beltane, so it's the right time for new concepts, new ideas. But if you get the opportunity to go, I mean, for us, it was just under an hour and a half away, which was a bit of a drive and quite tiring.
From where it is, you're only 30 minutes from Jeremy Clarkson's Diddley Squat Shop, Diddley Squit, whatever it's called. So yeah, it's near there. So if we go a bit more time next time, we'll pop into that.
Yeah, we went at the time we were supposed to go. So yeah, we had a super lovely, interesting, pagan-esque druid afternoon.
We did. I want a cloak. I want to make some form of headdress.
This is
something
turned
between
into a shopping
Egyptian
list.
and
But to be fair, the people in the order are quite old. I can honestly say a couple of them looked like they might not be available for much longer.
What do I mean? Truth.
But yeah, amazing. If you get the chance to go, you don't have to go for a ceremony. Just go.
We're over an hour.
Just go and have a look. It's
Time's
because we're
flown by.
chatty. It's because we're chatty.
It was an awesome day. We had a really good time at that. So thank you to what were they? Order?
Cotswolds.
The Cotswolds Druids Order. Thank you very much. None of you may ever see this video, but thank you.
The Druid Order of the Cotswolds. We're going a bit Life of Brian.
Yeah, no,
how dare you?
It was all meant to be the way it was meant to be, and it was brilliant.
Yeah, it was fabulous. And
they have a Facebook page.
They do have a Facebook page. Hopefully you've learned a little bit about the meaning of Beltane or May Day. And if you've missed that bit, go back to the beginning and watch it.
Very much. You've got until, let's say, for instance, you're watching us live now and you sort of think, oh, well, I could do something. Yes, you can. You've got until midnight tonight if you wanted to do something. Light a fire. It's about you giving ideas, set things forward as to what you want to happen now. What do you want to happen? If you want a pay rise at work, fucking ask for it. Now's the time to ask for it. Now's the time to put that question out and go, right, I've thought about doing this. Right, go for it. Explore that idea. Go with it. Say yes to things.
We didn't mention that. There's also a wishing tree there.
Yes, yeah, there is.
That you can tie fabric on.
Yeah.
To send out love or wishes or intentions. See, I see it from a Wiccan perspective that it's an intention tree. and you tie a little bit of fabric. I didn't have any fabric, and to be fair, I tied quite a lot yesterday on my new.
Yeah, the only thing I took with me was
teepee.
my rose quartz skull. I took that because it needed loads of energy clearing and sorting, and gave me a chance to sit in that circle while they were chatting and drop into meditations with it.
So we will put up a few pictures so you can see what
I'll drop
where
them
we
up
went
tonight,
and what we did.
and then I'll put together a little video of here's what we did.
And Chris, I shall have a little look at your photo.
So yeah, hope you enjoyed it, guys. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back next Sunday. We're here every Sunday, unless we're not. But we are pretty much here every Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Let me get going. 2 seconds. Don't anybody go anywhere because you've got the outro to listen to.
Anyway.
We hope you enjoyed it. Please
Thanks.
share the love. If you're watching on Facebook, share the video, share the page. It's massively appreciated by us. So thank you very much. Say goodbye, Penny.
Bye, Penny.